Welcome to CAP's webinar. Today we're going to talk about accommodating employees who have breast cancer and individuals who are in remission. I'm Erin Sanderson, and with me today is Kim Evans.
Hello, everyone.
In today's webinar, we will talk a little bit about breast cancer, risks, statistics, and treatment.
Breast cancer, like all cancers, develops when cells in a specific part of the body begin to grow uncontrollably. Cancer cells often travel to other parts of the body where they begin to grow and replace normal tissue. This process, called metastasis, occurs as the cancer cells travel through the bloodstream and infect the lymph vessels of our body. When cells from cancer, like breast cancer, spread to another organ, like the liver, the cancer is still referred to as breast cancer and not liver cancer.
Breast cancer occurs almost entirely in women, but men can get it too. With the exception of skin cancers, breast cancer is the most common cancer among American women. About 1 in 8 or 12% of women in the United States will develop invasive breast cancer during their lifetime. The American Cancer Society estimates for breast cancer in the United States for 2014 are about 232,670 new cases of invasive breast cancer will be diagnosed in women. About 62,570 new cases of carcinoma in situ, or CIS, will be diagnosed. CIS is non-invasive and is the earliest form of breast cancer. At this time, there are more than 2.8 million breast cancer survivors in the United States. This includes women still being treated and those who have completed treatment.
Treatment options may include surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, hormone, targeted and bone-directed therapy, or a combination of multiple treatments. Treatment for breast cancer may no longer be necessary if a person is in remission, but in some cases, continued treatment while in remission is necessary, and in some individuals, they may require some form of therapy indefinitely.
Despite significant gains in cancer survival rates, people with cancer continue to experience barriers to equal job opportunities. Employees with cancer frequently face discrimination because their supervisors and coworkers hold misperceptions about their ability to work during and after cancer treatment. Even with the prognosis is excellent, some employers assume that a person diagnosed with cancer will take long absences from work or be unable to focus on job duties.
Is breast cancer a disability under the American with Disabilities Act? According to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, people who currently have breast cancer or are in remission have a disability. These individuals are substantially limited in the major life activity of normal cell growth, or would be so limited if breast cancer currently in remission was to recur. Therefore, they are covered under the first part of the ADA's definition of disability. In addition, individuals with a history of breast cancer will be covered under the second part of the definition of disability because they will have a record of an impairment that substantially limited a major life activity in the past. Finally, an individual is covered under the third regarded as prong of the definition of disability if an employer takes a prohibited action. For example, refuses to hire or terminates the individual because of breast cancer or because the employer believes the individual has breast cancer. As individuals protected under the ADA, employees who work for the Department of Defense and partner agencies, including wounded, ill, and injured service members, may be eligible to receive assistive technology free of charge from CAP.
Next, we will review some common assistive technologies for people undergoing treatment or who have undergone treatment for breast cancer. First, it is important to start with a good ergonomic workstation. This is the foundation for an accessible work environment. A proper ergonomic workstation can include a number of tools. Alternative pointing devices. These are an alternative to a standard mouse. To use a standard mouse, a person must reach laterally while moving their arm and wrist to control the mouse. Some individuals with breast cancer may require extensive surgery, including a mastectomy and reconstruction. Others may develop lymphedema, a condition that results in pain, swelling, stiffness, and limited mobility in the arms and hands. For these individuals, a standard mouse is sometimes impossible to use. Alternative mouse options include trackball mice, which are like upside-down mice with an exposed protruding ball. The user can control the ball using the thumb, fingers, or the palm of the hand to control the mouse. Vertical mice, which are similar to standard mice, but the controls are on the side. This is designed to keep the user's hands in a natural position. Roller mice, which is a bar located in front of the keyboard where all of the mouse features are located. It is controlled using a rotating cylinder. This mouse eliminates lateral reaching completely. Like the standard mouse, the standard keyboard may also be difficult for someone during and after cancer treatment. This could be due to swelling, stiffness, numbness, or loss of mobility. Alternative keyboards may help, and there are many on the market with different features. A few options include a keyboard with larger keys, a keyboard with a key guard to prevent the wrong key from being pressed, and ergonomic keyboards, which would allow an individual to keep their arms, wrists, and hands in a natural position when keyboarding. Additional ergonomic items that can help mitigate the symptoms of breast cancer surgery and lymphedema and enable an individual to perform their job tasks include keyboard tray that can enable an individual to adjust the height and position of their keyboard, adjustable keyboard arm that can enable an individual to adjust the height and position of their keyboard, monitor arm that can enable an individual to adjust the height and position of their monitor, headset that can enable an individual to answer the phone hands-free, handset lifter that can enable an individual experiencing stiffness or limited motion to reach their handset more easily.
If an individual who has undergone a mastectomy or reconstructive surgery finds it difficult to sit or stand for long periods of time due to scar tissue, muscle grafts, fatigue, numbness, or pain, a sit-to-stand workstation may allow them to work for longer periods of time by allowing them to change positions throughout the day. There are many sit-to-stand options available on the market. Some of these are adjustable desks, attachments to desks, or their own unit that sits on the desk surface. Most options are available with the ability to adjust the height manually or using a motorized unit. Perhaps a person's limitations are so significant that using a keyboard and mouse are not possible. With breast cancer, this could be the result of swelling, stiffness, numbness, or loss of mobility from treatment or surgery. In this case, speech recognition software may be appropriate. Speech recognition software would allow the user to control their computer using their voice. Virtually anything that could be done with a keyboard and mouse could be done using verbal commands. This includes creating documents, writing emails, and browsing the web. During chemotherapy and radiation, cognitive functions may be impaired. To help, memory cueing devices would allow the individual to process information easier, remind them of tasks and deadlines, stay organized, and continue to be productive. Some of these solutions include using a smartphone, a tool that many people already have. Smartphones have features such as voice notes, reminders, task lists, and calendars. If needed, there are even reference guides available to teach people how to best utilize the features that their phones already have. Another solution is a recording pen. This is a pen that allows an individual to capture information in meetings, trainings, or during courses without missing any pertinent details. Some individuals find it easier to process information if they can see it and hear it simultaneously. To help make that possible, there are software programs available that will read everything on the computer out loud. Noise-canceling headphones can also help an individual with focus and concentration issues that can sometimes occur as a result of chemotherapy.
Now we'll take a look at a case study about accommodating an individual undergoing breast cancer treatment. To look for potential solutions to help an employee who is diagnosed with breast cancer, we first look at the job they are performing and how the diagnosis, symptoms, and treatment impacts the individual's ability to perform job tasks. Typically, when a person is diagnosed with cancer, the prognosis changes throughout treatment depending on how each individual's body reacts to the different forms of treatment. In this case study, an individual diagnosed with breast cancer faced different symptoms and challenges throughout the different phases of her treatment. We will discuss the impact throughout each phase of her treatment and review the recommended solutions or reasonable accommodations for each. This individual is a federal civilian employee who works as an administrative assistant for a Department of Defense agency. The position involves answering phones, running the front desk, data input, taking minutes during meetings, and maintaining the director's schedule. When the employee was first diagnosed with breast cancer, she was informed by her oncologist that the course of recommended treatment would include several phases, beginning with chemotherapy in order to shrink the tumors, followed by a double mastectomy and reconstruction to remove the tumors and cancerous tissue, and ending with radiation. Each of these treatments impacted the employee in different ways. When the employee began chemotherapy, she was informed that there would be many side effects that may or may not become problematic, as chemotherapy affects each individual differently. This employee experienced fatigue, difficulty with memory, and a low white blood cell count, which impacts her ability to fight off germs and infections. In this phase of treatment, there were a number of solutions available to help her perform her job tasks. Each day throughout the course of her chemotherapy, the employee experienced different symptoms. She tended to experience more pain, weakness, and fatigue on days that immediately followed her weekly chemotherapy treatment. Therefore, she was given the option to telework on the days that she was unable to come into the office. She was also given the option to work at those times of day that she was more alert and better able to perform job tasks. This flexible work schedule allowed the employee to remain productive throughout treatment. Chemotherapy causes a drop in white blood cells, which makes it very easy to catch germs and infections and very difficult to fight them off. Therefore, a temporary change in work location was important. As an accommodation, her front office duties were temporarily delegated to another employee. This allowed her to work from an office where she had limited exposure to the public. Chemotherapy also impacted this employee's memory and ability to concentrate. Memory cueing devices were recommended as a solution. This employee was provided a few different tools to help with different parts of her work. A portable memory device, such as an iPod Touch, helped her remember appointments, meetings, and deadlines using alerts, reminders, voice memos, and calendar functions. A recording pen enabled her to continue to perform her job task of taking minutes during meetings without the fear of missing information. A noise-canceling headset enabled her to concentrate on tasks without becoming distracted by her surrounding environment. Since she was teleworking as a form of reasonable accommodation, she was also eligible to receive standard office equipment such as a laptop, all-in-one printer, scanner, fax, and additional assistive technology to use at home. After the employee finished with chemotherapy, she underwent a double mastectomy and reconstruction surgery. After the surgery, the employee took time off work to recover. When she was able to return to work, she experienced some difficulties as a result of the surgery that impacted her ability to perform her job. This includes stiffness and chronic back pain that was exacerbated by sitting for long periods of time. The employee also experienced lymphedema, a condition that results in pain, swelling, stiffness, and limited mobility in the arms and hands. The following solutions were provided to accommodate this employee after her surgery. To help with the back pain that she experienced as a result of sitting for long periods of time, a sit-to-stand workstation was provided to give her the ability to change positions throughout the day. The symptoms of lymphedema made it difficult for her to perform her telephone duties. A telephone headset was provided to enable her to continue to answer the telephone while remaining hands-free. Due to the lymphedema, this employee needed to keep her shoulders, arms, wrists, and hands in a natural position when using her keyboard and mouse. Adjustable keyboard and mouse options that allowed her to control her computer while staying in a natural position throughout the day enables her to continue to perform her job tasks. This employee preferred to use her ergonomic keyboard and mouse. However, there were certain days that she experienced fatigue, pain, weakness, and numbness in her arms and hands. Voice recognition software was provided so she could continue to control her entire computer using her voice and thus continue to work. After the employee recovered from surgery, she was able to begin the final phase of treatment, radiation. While radiation is painless, some individuals may experience side effects. During and after radiation, this employee experienced pain under her armpit and also fatigue. She also continued to experience the effects of lymphedema. The following solutions were provided to help mitigate the side effects and enable the employee to continue working. Due to the fatigue caused by radiation, the employee was able to extend her telework and flexible work schedule until the radiation was complete. The employee continued to use her ergonomic workstation, keyboard, mouse, and the voice recognition software as needed. This helped ease the symptoms of lymphedema and the discomfort she began to experience under her armpit from the radiation, and enabled her to continue to perform her job tasks. Throughout her breast cancer treatment, this employee worked directly with her supervisors and kept them informed of her needs. This enabled her supervisor to adequately accommodate the employee, ease her stress, and enabled her to continue to be a productive and valued member of the staff.
For more information on breast cancer and accommodating individuals with breast cancer, please see the following sources: Living Beyond Breast Cancer, American Cancer Society, Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, and the Job Accommodation Network. For any questions, please contact CAP at 703-614-8416 or email cap@mail.bil. For links to previous webinars and a list of topics for upcoming webinars, please visit www.cap.mil/newsevents/webinars.aspx, and thank you for joining us today.